Hi, before I begin today's video, I want to give a shout out to a Black BookTuber, and today's shout out is to Neeks. Neeks is almost at 550 subscribers. It's five last I checked, so definitely go check out her channel. I'll place links and stuff down to her channel and social media down in the description box below. But she has she's an actress, a model, is participating in the Blackathon, which is this is the last week of that. So I guess you can still jump in if you wish. And also in her last video, explained her rating system on how she rates books, because she reviews a lot of books. From what I saw, a lot of them were black YA fiction books. At least the last couple that she reviews. So definitely go check out her reviews. You'll definitely find some good books to read there. And like I said, I'll be placing links down to her channel and all her social media down in the description box below. Hi, my name is Justin, aka Ghost Shooter, and today we're going to be talking about Mammies. And this video is part of my Topics in Black History series. Every weekday in February, I did a video talking about a topic in Black history, or a fun video, or doing a book review related to Black history written by Black authors. So today's video was inspired by, and most of the topics I talked about were inspired by a short story and a great short stories by African American writers. And that short story was The Woman in the Window by Ramona Lowe. And not much is known about Ramona Lowe, I think, besides this one piece that she wrote for this particular magazine. But basically, the story is about a woman who needs a job and ends up basically playing the part of a mammy for a restaurant. And it basically goes into her kids see her one day in the window cooking, and making, I think it was making food and being like doing mammy like things, and it causes some tension between her and her kids. So that's what the short story was about, and inspired today's video. So what are mammies? Mammies are generally shown or are written as large black women who wear handkerchiefs around their head. They are very fiercely loyal to their white bosses, or if they're in slave times, their white masters, the white mistress. They take care of the mistress's kids, but don't really take too much care of their own kids. They're pretty hard on their own kids, but they're very motherly like to their boss's kids, and they're pretty much politically and culturally safe. You know, they don't cause any threat to the social order, or they're fine with where they are, whether they are slaves or whether they're just low-income wage workers. They're fine with their situation. Now, you think that with the prevalence of the mammy imagery, you would think that mammies were pretty prevalent in the slave era. However, research is going to show that within the first 50 years after the American Revolution, mammies were actually quite rare. And that's because only wealthy whites could actually had black women slaves working in the house for their wives. And also, when they did have mammies, they generally were kind of the opposite of the popular image of what a mammy was. So these black slaves that were brought into the house were generally light-skinned, skinny, and young. And actually, most African American women that were slaves, only about 10% of them actually lived past the age of 50. So why do we have the image of the mammy that we have now, the large black woman slaving away in the kitchen, taking care of the master's kids? And the reason we have that is because abolitionists began to, when they were talking about freeing the slaves, began to bring up the evils of white masters taking advantage of their black slaves. So Southerners, in defense of that, said, no, you guys got this all wrong. Here, you guys are saying that, you know, these black women are attractive and we're bringing them to the household. No, this is the type of black woman that we have, and thereby not only saying that, you know, was saying that they didn't meet the standards of what white men found attractive. They were like overweight, supposedly, and they were fine with their position because their conditions in the master's household were good. So this basically went in the face of everything that abolitionists were saying were terrible conditions going on in the South, and with these women and white masters. But the white masters were coming back and saying, like, no, we're not doing that to these African American women, and plus they're happy with where they are. After the Civil War, more black women began working in white households, like in the house after the Civil War, as domestic servants. And also, with this caricature of the mammy being perpetuated in popular culture, you have the only jobs really open to a lot of black women being domestic work, where they got paid pretty low wages. But these workers did not fulfill the stereotypes of mammies either. They were also very dedicated to their own families, and typically were not satisfied with their low social status as just being domestic workers. And many of them wanted to be a lot more than just that. So that was the impact of the mammy stereotype, like in on like real people's lives. But what was it like in literature and then on the TV screens and in the commercial space? So mammies before Uncle Tom's Cabin were actually not standardized. There were many different interpretations researchers found of what a mammy was. But then once Uncle Tom's Cabin became popular and the mammy and that, which I believe her name was Aunt Chloe, that basically kind of standardized that for literature. And afterwards, pretty much most depictions of the mammy followed the stereotypical mammy that we know today. And then of course the stereotype of the mammy moved from print into onto the screen. And you have famous examples of that are The Imitation of Life, where Mammy is played by Louis Beavers, and Gone with the Wind with Hattie McDonald, who actually went on to win Best Supporting Actress for playing the part. She unfortunately was stereotyped into like the servant role in many of the Hollywood jobs that she would get, and was also criticized by the African American community by for perpetrating the stereotype of the mammy. However, she's quoted as saying, and I read it here: "Why should I complain about making $7,000 a week playing a maid? If I didn't, I'd be making $7 a week actually being one." And this brought up a good point that there weren't really a lot of opportunities for African American women to advance in the workplace due to racial discrimination and Jim Crow. However, the same white companies that would not hire African American women for nothing more than domestic servants or very, very low income jobs were fine with making profit off of them. So the image of the black mammy was then put onto products such as breakfast foods, detergents, soaps, and other products, sewing materials, and other products. The most famous of these would be like the Aunt Jemima product brand. So R.T. Davidson Company brought a brand new pancake mix that would made it easy to make pancakes, and hired a person, Nancy Green, to play the role of Aunt Jemima. Bet all their money on a big exposition at the World's Expo in Chicago in 1893, and the brand became a big hit, and that brand still survives today. However, the image of Aunt Jemima has changed, so she's no longer a large black woman with a handkerchief hiding her nappy hair. She's now slimmer and shows off her gray hair. Also, along with many of these famous brands, was also many different types of other memorabilia were created featuring the mammy stereotype with all its racist caricatures. And you can actually go see a collection of these items at the Jim Crow Museum of Racist Memorabilia. And though we don't see much of the mammy stereotype anymore, this is just one of the many stereotypes that African Americans have had to overcome in the United States, in literature, in film, and in everyday life. So that is it for this video. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more videos from me, please subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at GhostReads28, on Instagram at Justin the Ghost Reader, and also on Goodreads. The link to that is down in the description box below. So as always, keep reading.